Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi guys, I heard you've been stuck in this room for kind of a long time. Will you get up for me? Let's just all get up. Come on, up, up, up. Even you, up. You can do it. All right, let's stretch. Come on, we're gonna stretch for the ceiling. This is gonna feel good, I promise. All right, if you wanna twist a little, oh yes. Oh good, you're up, that's good, well done. Awesome, okay, that was good, right? Roll your shoulders. All right, shake it out. You're in the home stretch. All right, let's sit down. I know you're running behind, so I'm gonna move straight on. So I am Jen Nash. I am the CEO of freshwealth.com, which is a cryptocurrency company. The safest, easiest, and smartest way to buy cryptocurrencies, just like mutual fund, you can buy them in bundles. Now my passion project is teaching you how to negotiate for more money when you go out for jobs, new jobs, next jobs, whatever, and how to network your way forward in life. Because it's not just at work we network our way forward. So since we're running behind, I'm gonna just focus on networking today, another reason for me to come back, and get straight down to what do we mean when we say networking, right? The word has the word working in it, so that doesn't sound fun. Working, but it's also got the word net in it. And nets catch us when we fall, and that's kind of awesome. So yes, networking is the art of the mingle, right? It's the art of walking up to someone that you don't know and creating an exchange, having them learn something valuable about you and you learning something valuable about them. It's not necessarily easy, but it doesn't have to be hard. Why is this important though? Why does anybody care? Why are we doing this today? And I asked Nancy this, and I want to thank Nancy and Marlene so very much in City College for having me today, because I do think this is critical. Why should you do this now at this point? Because every single person you're going to meet moving forward will make your time here better. And they're literally going to facilitate parts of your life potentially for decades. And the stories that I'm going to tell you today will underscore the value of this skill. So, at the foundation, I truly believe that networking determines the people you know. Now, what does that determine? The people you know determine the parties you get invited to, the weddings you go to, the lunches, the events, the job interviews, the non-job interviews that could be job interviews. They even determine who you marry. This shit is real. This is powerful stuff. Every step of your life is likely going to be dictated by who you know. And I'm saying it slowly because it's a weird thing to think about, but it's absolutely true. Now, every story I'm going to tell you literally was a link from one person to the next, to the next, to the next. And they all start either randomly or they go decades back. So it's really about staying in touch and connecting. Now, I went to Parsons School of Design, not too far from here. And most of my life, I'd worked as a waitress. I'd picked strawberries. I'd done all sorts of completely random things. But when it was time to get the paid internship, because color copies when you're making presentations get very expensive, I was like, I don't know anybody in advertising, and I had decided I'm going to be a creative director. I'd made that decision. I was like, so that's where we're going. So I did some research. Kirschenbaum and Bond at the time was the hottest ad agency in New York City. But I don't know anybody there. And I looked at a whole bunch of different places, and I was like, well, where would those kinds of people go? They would go to places like the One Club, which is a club for art directors and copywriters. So I signed up and I started going to events. Yeah, going to events alone sucks. But on the other hand, I was like, how do I make this better? There's a bar and there's food. I like free food and I can deal with free booze too. All right, now I'm more of a foodie. So I decided I will stand near the food and that will be my icebreaker. So at this particular event, there was a mound of cheese. Literally, it was just a huge pile of cheese. And I was staring at the cheese when a guy woke up and he goes, that's a lot of cheese. And I was like, oh my God, it's so much cheese. And we literally sat there and had a conversation about cheese for 5 minutes before he was like, so what are you doing? And I was like, I'm looking for a paid internship. And he's like, that's funny, I'm looking for an intern. Seriously, how's that happen at a cheese plate? And so it turns out he worked at Kirschenbaum and Bond, and he was in planning. I knew nothing about planning. That's not the creative department. That's not where I wanted to go. But he was like, will you build a database for me? Well, obviously the answer is yes, sure, happy to. So not only did I learn a new software program, but I got my entree into advertising. So there I am at Kirschenbaum and Bond, getting free color copies for all my presentations after hours, and I'm thinking I should mingle. So I would walk around the agency and introduce myself. Hi, I'm Jen. I'm a copywriter and an intern. I work for Patrick down in planning, but I'm a really good writer and I'd love to show you my book. Do you think they said no? I'm free help. They're thinking free help, love it. So I started to make friends. One of the people was a creative director they'd imported from England. She knew nobody and people were ignoring her. I was like, do you want to go for brunch? She was thrilled. She was like, oh my God, that's the nicest thing anyone said to me this week. I was like, okay, I'll meet you in the village. We can do this. We're friends to this day. I went to her wedding. Seriously, just because I reached out and treated her like a human. Now, the sad part of this story is Andy Spade, whose brother is David Spade, was the creative director at the time. Had I done a little more research, had I networked a little harder, I could probably have maybe segued into Andy's life, and he was married to Kate Spade, and there were probably a buttload of really awesome parties that I could have had access to. But I didn't, so I missed it. But that's life, right? You don't win them all. So there I am in advertising. Fast forward, and I get a job at Ogilvy and Mather a couple years later. You've probably heard of the agency. It's fairly large. Now here's the weird part. I was now in my mid-20s, and I was making six figures, and I thought, wow, I've achieved all my goals. How boring. I'm like super yawned out. Meanwhile, I'm hearing about the dot-com world. I don't know anyone in tech. I don't know anyone in the dot-com. So I started Googling stuff, and I was like, all right, there's this hot shop called Site Specific, and they throw parties on their roof every Friday night. So I look up their address, and I go. Turns out they have free beer. Okay, free beer I can do. So I went a couple of times. I introduced myself around. Hi, I'm Jen. I'm a copywriter at Ogilvy and Mather. Now, what did the dot-com world want? They wanted validation. They wanted everybody else to be like, oh, you're awesome. But they wanted validation from corporate America. So me walking in and being like, I'm from corporate America and I'm here at your party, that worked for them, and I didn't even understand that. So they were like, oh, please, come on in. Now I went a couple of times, and before you know it, they were looking for a copywriter. So I took a pay cut and went into the dot-com world. And from there, I met a future business partner, and she and I launched a company that we grew into multi-million-dollar revenue, which was eventually sold to Omnicom. And that totally changed the trajectory of my life. And it's all from a beer on a roof, which was all from some cheese on a plate, right? Small, but we see the food trend here very clearly. So if we fast forward a little further, I'm just gonna really take you out of the normal arc. I'm in advertising. I do love what I do, but at the same time, I'd hit some sort of realizations that this was not gonna work full long term for me. I wanted to break into real estate. But there's a problem with real estate. Real estate is an incredibly familial circle. Typically, people have family in real estate. They have, relatives or friends in real estate. I think I knew 2 apartment brokers in Manhattan. That was it. So how do you break into real estate? Well, if you're me, you randomly go on a date that turns out horribly wrong. Like, we literally had the worst night. But he was a commercial real estate guy who did lots of investing. And by the time I got up the next morning, I was like, okay, we're not falling in love. We're not getting married. But he's really, really smart. So I called him up and I said, listen, didn't go well. Sorry about that, dude. But can I take you for lunch and pick your brain? I'll pay, you pick the place. And I went to his world. And he was like, okay. I mean, it wasn't that bad of a date, clearly. So he said, okay. And so fast forward another year, he hires me to move to like Pottstown, Pennsylvania, which is a very exciting place, to run a 116 townhouse unit under the tutelage of his property manager. I literally quit my big job in Texas at the time and went and did that because I was like, this is going to give me the courage, the connections, the insight, the know-how to do what I want to do next. Now, mind you, I did not stay out of marketing for very long because real estate and managing properties, that's like a whole other kettle of fish we could talk about another time. And marketing actually is very lucrative. So the two together was the way to go for me. Now, so once I went back into the world of marketing though, I kept hearing more and more, and you will too throughout the course of your career. You'll hear shifts. So creative director and copywriter were becoming less exciting buzzwords. People were asking for content strategists. And so I would hear this over and over, and I thought, that's the hot buzzword. They get paid better, and they're doing basically all the stuff I already do. So how do I make a shift into that aspect of my career? I called a boss from 13 years prior, and I said, hey, do you guys need a content strategist? He was at a global agency working on chocolate and coffee and banking. I was like, these are great brands. I'm excited. And he was like, yeah, actually, we do need a content strategist. And I was like, what about me? I'd be great. And he was like, yeah, okay, sure. Now, would a stranger have given someone who, if you looked at my LinkedIn, where it doesn't say the word content strategist anywhere, would a stranger have given me that chance? Hell no. Like, no, and no. They just won't. They're like, well, you don't have any experience. But after 2 months of emailing and calling and going through HR jumps and hoops and all that, I got the job. And I was able to stay there for 4 years and build that portfolio. And all thanks to him. So you can bet I bought him a bunch of dinners and lunches and drinks, because, you know, that's the way to everybody's heart. So, networking is clearly not just about work. It's a lot more than just your career. Every person you meet and connect with has the potential to change your life. And you have the potential to change theirs. I'm going to say it again because I really, really believe this. Because if you think this way, you will approach almost every opportunity with less disdain, less annoyance, and you'll be less creeped out by strangers. Every person you meet and connect with has the potential to change your life. And you have the potential to change theirs. It's really all about your mindset. Okay. Just a really fun, quick, random one about how your network can also like save your bacon in your personal life. Like 10 years ago, I went to a global cultural movement commonly referred to as Burning Man. It is not a music festival, but it is in the desert. And you do need like 2.5 gallons of water for every day you're there. You do need shelter. You do need a lot of stuff. And 2 weeks before I was going, and I had everything I needed, the people who had said I could have space in their RV said, sorry, we've changed our mind. And I was like, are you kidding? What am I going to do? I don't know anybody that goes to this. This was totally a whim. Like, I'm going to Burning Man. Facebook post. Literally within 24 hours, I had a whole new camp of people who were going to help me, take me, feed me. You know, I had to cook, of course. But, you know, Facebook. So your personal network extends itself throughout the course of your life and will save your bacon. It is your personal net. So, how do you go from meeting a future employer by a cheese plate to running companies and building a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio, all with mingles? There are some tips, and I'm going to give them to you. First of all, the first one's the worst one. I'm sorry. We're just going to take the Band-Aid right off. You got to go alone. Yes, I know it sucks. But if you don't go alone, you're going to grab your friend and hold them close because they're familiar, and we like the familiar. The familiar is comfortable. Now, I want to help and say, oh, take the friend and split up when you get in there. But you will find very slowly you'll drift towards each other because it's uncomfortable. At the end of the day, you just have to say to yourself, it sucks for me, it sucks for them. I'm here to make new connections, right? I'm here to make new connections. It is worth it, right? Or you could tell yourself you're there to change lives. Whatever works, you can go big. And remember, it sucks for you. It's just as awkward for them. But they are potential new business friends, new business contacts, and new friends. So I know that you guys just did an exercise with each other. How many of you knew each other before today? Oh, that's awesome. This is a great opportunity for all of you. I am literally thrilled. Oh, what? You knew each other? Okay, so, and you're sitting together.
But we didn't work together on this project, so we split up.
Okay.
It was a great experience. And Maria, she's awesome.
Okay, but a good example of clinging to familiarity. But now we know you, so that's good. Okay, the second one, you all grew up primarily with screens. iPads, phones, TVs, computers. Eye contact is something that's dying. I know this sounds like a weird thing to pick on, but you gotta look people in the eyes. When you're in a social situation, you gotta be like, hi, I'm here. You and I, we're having a moment. All right, it's uncomfortable yet? I hope so. And if you can't do it, start practicing with friends. Like, all right, we're looking at each other. It's you and me, baby. Because it's really important. A study done at Aberdeen University in Scotland found that eye contact leads to attraction. What do you want in awkward social situations? You want to build connection. You want to build attraction. So, next up is an easy one. Business cards are dying, but historically, people are like all about the business cards when you say the word networking. They're like, here you go. I personally am not a massive fan, but they're great for writing notes. So talk to the person. If they have a card, fantastic. As soon as you walk away, I want you to write down personal notes. Do you have a dog? Do they have a dog? Do you have a cat? Do they have a cat? Like, what are the bonds that you can find? Are they traveling? You know, where are they going? What are they doing? What are they building? What aspect of the company do they love? You know, you're going to find stuff out about them. You know, and it's very much like dating. The more the other person talks, the more they like you. Have you guys ever heard this stat before? So if you want someone to like you, get them talking. And when you walk away, take notes. And I'll tell you why shortly. Now, the biggest mindset thing that I want you to all really embrace is when you meet someone new, don't think, how can they help me? I want you thinking, how can I help you? Because when you take that mindset, which is very, very, very different than what most people encounter in networking institutions, like when you take that mindset into a room, you shock people. They're like, whoa, someone just asked me what I wanted out of today, what I needed out of today, you know, and they're much more likely to help you if they think you're going to help them. It's automatic. In fact, they can't help themselves. They're totally going to want to. So here's a trick that I do that really freaks people out. If I'm at a social setting where everybody's clearly there to mingle, I literally walk up to someone randomly and I'm like, hi, I'm Jen. How are you? And what's your name? Bernice. Bernice. Hey, Bernice, what are you doing here? What are you hoping to accomplish? Now, I'm going to skip Bernice's answer because we're going to do that in a second. But, you know, a lot of the times they'll be very direct. They'll say, oh, I'm looking for fashion bloggers because I have a new app. Or someone might be looking for an intern or a new employee. Oh, so you're here networking for that. Okay. Do you have a card? I'm going to write that down. And then later on, if I happen to meet the person that they're looking for, I go track them down. I'm like, hey, I just found your person. You guys should talk. And I've kind of also done my good duty for the day. Like, they're just like, what? You just found me a potential employee or a beauty blogger? That's amazing. So think about that. How can I help you is a fantastic mindset. Also, It takes away a lot of the hesitation that you have because you're there to serve in some weird way. You're like, hey, I'm here to help you. That's like an awesome place to be when you're feeling uncomfortable. So, next one's a little tough for New York, although you guys are doing fairly well. My tip is don't blend in. Like when I'm looking for the person that's, trying to hire a beauty blogger, if I'm in New York, I'm generally looking at a sea of black or blue or gray. Stand out. Like me, you could be like, red jacket over there, red pants. In fact, she's all in red. That person there is the person you want. You can find me like that in a crowd. So if you want to be noticed, be seen. Don't blend in. It could be a polka dot shirt. It could be a colored pocket square. It could be a bright purse. Like, think about it, though, because your whole presentation, is helpful to the whole experience. Now, I want to do a really quick exercise. It's just 1 minute, nice and short. I want you to turn the person closest to you that you didn't work with at the last exchange, and we're going to do what Bernice and I just did. I want you to ask each other, what will make this networking evening a success for you? Okay? It's very straightforward. If you need to move. I'll give you a little bit over than a minute, and just go. Introduce yourself. Oh, come on, move. These two know each other. Cut in. Just cut in. Oh, all right. So go find strangers. Guys, that's about the time. How do we do? We get somewhere? All right, back to your seats. It's just a short. So what you've just learned should actually set the tone for your drinks tonight, because now you're not shopping for you, you're shopping for two. You literally have someone else's idea of what they want to keep in your head. Now, if you find it or someone else mentions something that connects you, like say someone just happens to want a roommate, someone else happens to have, a friend looking for an apartment, it could be that simple. But that exchange of helpfulness cements your connection. It cements your relationship. It builds someone who's a true connection in your network. And the thing is, network sounds pretty cold to me. At the end of the day, I always encourage people, like the people you work with, you spend way too much time with them to actually want to be there if you don't like them. If you go on a job interview and you think they're dicks, I don't care how much they're going to pay you or how cool their portfolio is, you're going to regret it, and you probably have already all experienced this, right? Like, bail, just bail. Go find your people. Now, I would encourage you to take a quick screen grab of this. Not only is my contact information up there, but these are the pointers. Like if you ever are like, what was she saying? These are the intro pointers. Now my last one is asking people to meet up. I think this is a very dying art. I reach out and I regularly say, hey, can we grab coffee, a drink? What do you prefer? And if they're super busy, sometimes they just want to leave the office for 20 minutes and take a stroll, you know, like get them out of the office. But face-to-face connection, especially if you've only met online or through LinkedIn, like face-to-face time, nothing is better, right? So you really want to get them out, and you'll be really surprised at how few times anyone will ever ask you out. Remember, if you ask them out, you got to pay. But that $4.50 like cappuccino at Starbucks is probably going to yield dividends. So always offer to pay, because again, you invited them out. Now, what are the networking tricks for the follow-up? That's really important, and it really all starts with that, following up. Fewer and fewer people seem to do it. I'm amazed. They send an email over the highway and they never hear from you, and that's that. Guess what? Most people know that that's all they're going to get from you, so they don't worry about it. Be the squeaky wheel. Follow up, follow up, follow up. And I'm going to like move this forward so that you can see that that's really what I think about it. Like, I really want you throwing an email over, hey, it was great meeting you. I love talking about our dogs. If they were going to Montana, maybe you Google cute restaurants in Boulder. Hey, did you see this article on cute restaurants in Boulder? You should check them out before you go. Holy shit, you just did them a favor. Now their wife or boyfriend or girlfriend thinks they're a hero, right? You've just given them something they can use. Maybe you talked about your cats. Send them cat memes. I don't care. Build the bonds. Build the bonds. Oh, or maybe your cat does crazy things. Send a personal video. Oh, I know I was telling you about Mitzi. This is what Mitzi did this morning. Like, people love that stuff. That's personal, and you're creating a connection. So follow up in a way that's true to you and true to the conversation that you had. Now, you don't hear back. That's very sad because Mitzi's very cute. You throw in a call because, hey, their phone number's in their SIG or on their call. You leave a voicemail. Hey, just wanted to follow up, see if we could grab that coffee I mentioned in my email. Hope your week's not too horrible. Nothing crazy, right? Nothing. No return. Okay, so maybe you wait 5 days. Another email over the fence. Hey, just following up. Mitzi's very sad you didn't respond. Still hoping to grab that coffee. How's your week looking next week? Nothing? You know what? Put a reminder in your phone that a week later you're going to follow up again. You know what? It's on them to finally say, hey, I'm so sorry. I'm going through a divorce. My mom just died. And I'm really rude. But yes, sometime next month, I'd love to get together. And that's probably the answer you're going to get. They will give back, right? So, you've built the bonds, you've talked about Montana, or maybe they went to Paris or somewhere exciting. You've done research for them. You know, you follow up with LinkedIn. Like, now I think is a great time to link in. You can link in at any point, but it's great if you know a little something about them and you can send them a nice note. Like, blah, 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 Mitzi, right? The cat, bring her in. You know, turn it into something funny that they can share. And I personally use LinkedIn to actually start the bonds. So if I have an interview or a phone call with someone and it's cold, I go to LinkedIn. Where'd they go to school? They go to school in Tennessee. Did you grow up in Tennessee? Bond. Did they study in Philly? Oh, I studied in Philly. Bond. Did they do something artsy somewhere? Do they ride a bicycle? Did somewhere on their social page they post something that you can relate to? Bring it up. Those bonds cement your connection. Like, I also visualize in connection moments, like ropes between us, because I'm actually trying to visually and mentally and energetically build bonds. So at the end of the day, you know, I've talked about, you know, following up, thinking about how you can keep helping them and keep building bonds, you know, because the two of those things go hand in hand. And the more they understand that you're there for them, the more they're going to be there for you. It's understood. So when you randomly 6 months later send them a note that says, hey, I've decided I want to get into marketing architects. Do you happen to know anyone in the architectural world? They might. And maybe you've already checked out LinkedIn and you can see that they have like 10 friends who are architects. So you already know that the answer should be yes. and they like you, and then you've already gotten them like a great bunch of restaurants in Paris, so they owe you, right? That some of that kicks in. So on that note, I'm going to tell you one last story that will underscore just how powerful networking really is, if we have to call it that, or bond building. So 4 years ago, I went to a high school reunion and took a tour of the school because it had changed a lot. And on the tour, I got chatting with a fellow who randomly mentioned he lived in the Caribbean. And I said, oh, that's so weird. I just booked a trip for my best friend's birthday to your very island. I was extremely bold. I was like, can I get your email? I need a list of restaurant recommendations because I feel like TripAdvisor is lying to me. And he was like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. So we emailed, I got the list of restaurants, I ended up going, I didn't see him again, but like 6 months later, he was in New York, and he was like, hey, want to get drinks, dinner, blah, blah, blah. I was like, sure. We became friends. Fast forward 2 years. He ends up hiring me to run freshwealth.com. So we build that platform together. And then fast forward another year, we get engaged. Like, holy wow, from taking a tour on a school, and asking someone for their email. Like, it's like cheese plate to there. So I hope that at the end of the day, you have a very clear picture of what you're going to do tonight and how you're going to go into this with an open heart and less reservations, because you've got like the perfect size room, and all of your Rolodexes have the opportunity to become everyone else's too. Anyway, that is me. Thank you very much. You might want to take a picture of that, because you might forget those three. Now, do you guys have any questions? Come on. All right, because otherwise I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to ask you questions, because that's how I roll. What's your question?
So, like, when you were talking about reaching out and kind of like resending those emails and kind of just like building that connection, so I don't know about others, but I'm the type of person, like, if I get like rejected once, I kind of get like embarrassed or scared, so I kind of tend to like close that gap.
You're normal.
How do you like not make it seem like you're like stalking them? Not like you know what I mean? Like,
give it 2-3 days.
I don't know, like,
they probably didn't even see it. Don't you miss emails?
yeah.
So I think you're taking it too personally. And I think a lot of life, all those self-help books that say don't take things personally, you got a mantra. Don't take it personally. Do you want whatever it is they have? I think the answer is yes. So no offense, you just gotta fuck your feelings and keep forward, right? You just gotta be like, But it's the same. You walk into, like, people are like, oh, you're so confident. I'm like, no. I'll walk into a bar or a room with 500 people and I'm like, really, we have to do this again? So like my question to you guys was gonna be like, what's the worst thing about networking for you? Like, what's the number one thing you hate? Someone?
What kind of questions to ask?
Right. So honestly, go from the gut. Like, I think the best icebreaker is whatever you're feeling. So if what you're feeling in that moment is, shit, I don't know anybody, go with, hi. I do this all the time, by the way. I'm Jen, and I don't know anybody here. And I say it just like that. And you know what? Half the time, they laugh. And it's funny because part of my passion project, I go to a lot of female-focused things, and I will walk up to groups of people that I feel like they must know each other. They just look so happy and casual. I'll be like, hi, I'm Jen. I don't know anybody here. And they all go, oh, we just met 3 minutes ago. And I'm like, oh, cool. And you jump right in. But that's the thing. Everyone else is just like you. Like, you don't think it is because they look cooler or their jacket's nicer or she remembered to wear a yellow purse and you're all in black. You got to get over it. So I like cheese. You can point out obvious stuff. Or I can't figure out what to order. Is it a Perrier day, or should I just go straight to a Jack and Coke? Like, ask them something truthful about yourself. You know what I mean? Like, what better place to start than there? Like, I also like hi. Hi's not bad. Like, hi, I'm Jen. This is Dweeby. What are you doing? You can, like, the obvious stuff works. It's just like dating. Like, if a guy came up and said, or a girl, whatever you prefer, like, came up and said, hey, how's it going? That's okay. That's not bad. right? Or, oh my God, it's so cold in here. The obvious is great. Anyone else?
Hey, I have a question.
Yeah?
It's not so I'm from Colombia, and I've been
Love the
living
country.
in New York for like 5 years already. But at first, I was very self-aware of my accent in my English, and then that prevented me from reaching out to people, and also the cultural barrier because American people is very different from Colombian people. So, what would be your advice for international students that don't know anything about the system or the culture or even the language is a barrier?
See, I think that's your entree. It's beautiful. You get to say to everyone, hi, I'm from Colombia. I'm new here. What do you think is good? Or what are you doing this weekend because I don't know enough? Or hi, I'm from Colombia. Have you been? You know, like you have like a platform. Like it's actually almost easier. Hi, I'm from Colombia. Do you like my accent? Like put them on the spot. Like who's gonna say no? Like no one. They're gonna think you're funny. But I mean, you know, most people are gonna say, oh, where are you from? And you're gonna say Colombia, and they're gonna say, how long have you been here? Right? And you're gonna say, how long?
5 years, 6 years.
5 years, 6 years. So, you know, now your sparkle dust is starting to wear off. You're almost a New Yorker. You got like 15 more years. It's shortening. But you can say, I've been here for 5 years, but I'm still struggling with. You can create a conversation about what you wish Americans would help you more with.
All right.
Or what I love about your country is, what I miss about my country is, and they'll just look at you and go, oh, she's smart. But I think your accent's a great hello. Anyone else? Oh, yeah.
A little bit more serious.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So you met your husband because you were just networking with him. Not necessarily did you have that in mind, but when
No.
you're networking kind of with the opposite sex, whether you're a male or female, how do you not keep it from going in the direction you don't want it to go and just staying professional?
If you don't want it to go in that direction, I mean, it's interesting. I listen to podcasts a lot, and it's interesting when you listen to the terrible stuff that happens to women, you know, who are fundraising in Silicon Valley, like in Valley. It's really creepy. I think you have to be firm and direct, and there's definitely, you know, an art of the soft brush off. So, you know, if you're looking to talk about something, talk about that. So, for instance, this is a fun talk. I went to a speed dating event and didn't meet anyone at the speed dating event, but while I was waiting for my group to start, at the bar, I met this tiny little guy, and I'm a heightus, so that was definitely not gonna work, who literally was in real estate, and all his friends were in real estate. And I was like, seriously, you have friends in real estate? And you could tell I'm the kind of person that would be like, give me everyone's name. And that's what I did. I proceeded to call all 6 of his friends and say, hi, I'm an idiot. I just finished reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm completely obsessed. I need to learn how to do this. How'd you do it? And I asked them their stories, and I kept each one of them on the phone for about an hour. And one of them was actually in New York, and I was like, coffee? And he was like, sure. We ended up going out and having a nice time. I thought he was cute, and he wasn't into me. But hey, these things happen. But at the same time, like, I just focused. So if you're not into that, you'll feel when the vibe is shifting. And so if you're at coffee and the vibe shifts, you just look at your watch and you say, I have enjoyed this so very much. Thank you so much for your time. Be polite. I've got to run, but I'm going to follow up with you about whatever it was. And then you just keep it focused. Because if that's what you want, you focus it. If you want friendship, but you don't want romance, you could say, I'm in a relationship and lie. And that's always a good one for men or women. It's a good one. Or you could say, I'm not in a place where I'm looking for anything other than friends. Just be direct. I mean, the sooner you do that, the better. Yeah, it's when they get their hopes up. All humans don't like that. Good question. Points. Anyone else? Are you all ready to go drink? Maybe go outside? Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Oh, hi.
One that you just pointed out to ask people to meet up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it's my place to having a party, and they say, oh, okay, sure, no problem, and then they will just, in the end, and they didn't show up and just say, oh, I have a thing to do and I cannot come, blah, 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 and I just feel like people don't really show up when you invite them.
Was that just a friend? Because generally, networking generally is the basket we give towards coworkers and people in the sort of business arena. If that's just a friend or someone you knew casually, then last time I checked, friends get to bail on friends. And New Yorkers love to bail on plans. Our favorite thing is when someone cancels on us so we can stay home and do nothing. So, that's just normal. Now if they had stood you up for a lunch, that's a problem. If they'd not met you for a specific timed appointment, but come to my house and hang with my friends, there's no pressure. They want to spend time with you, maybe not with the other 40 people. So maybe say, oh, should we try one-on-one? If you want to build a network with that person, try one-on-one. It's harder, but better, in my opinion.
Because for me, just like if you say yes, you should go, and then it's it happens all the time.
Yes, but that's life. People change their mind, their plans change, they get hit by a car. It happens. They don't die, everything's fine. Hi, Ping.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because I saw you probably change your career several times
Mm-hmm.
in different industry.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like because if when you network, you offer something to this person.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are not in that industry, you have nothing to offer. So how do you?
But you don't know what they're looking for. They might be just looking for a great book to read. Seriously, ask them what they're looking for. Reach out and say, I'm learning about X, Y, and Z. Your background is so impressive to me. Can I entice you for a coffee or a drink? I would do it conveniently located to you. It's you'll do all the work. Make it easy for them to say yes. And then when you're together, you can say, what are the challenges in your life? At some point in the conversation. And they might share. And then when you are hearing their challenges, you can think about, how can I help them?
I just feel like for someone without so many experience, it might probably harder to build up a connection with some very experienced that can help you. How do you?
But people like helping people. I personally think that the most powerful 3 words in the English language are, I need help. I need help. And it's something we should all learn to say because people love helping. You have to give them the opportunity to do so, and then you can say, I love you. But it's similar to, I have nothing to offer. You're putting yourself down. That's assuming the worst before you even left the house. You have something to offer. Sometimes it is harder to break through a door when they don't know you. So that's when you have to work with Marlene and Nancy. You have to ask them, who do you know that would personally help me? Because the people that personally know each other are much more likely to be responsive, right? And so that's when you go and you start figuring out who knows who. And so my connections and her connections, because we like you, we're going to try and get them to help you. So the team forms. It's all possible, I promise. Anyone else? Bar? Yes. All right, let's do it. Thanks, guys.